Green Cooling scores with the 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League Show.
Yes, a big hello and welcome back to the 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League Show. Just had a little bit of a breather over Easter, and we're back and ready to dig into everything that goes on in the world of amateur rugby league. And Dave, we're just taking advantage of, I was going to say the warm weather. It's just getting cool now, but we're outdoors again.
Well, we've had a gorgeous couple of days, haven't we, to be honest? And it's great to be back, Steve. And we've got a cracking show lined up. I can tell you what, I think you've written this script, haven't you? You've put cracking in, and I always say cracking. We'll reflect upon the latest in the BARLA National Cup. We'll cover all the action from the National Conference League, and we'll highlight a brilliant Division 1 clash which saw two old rivals meet in Ince Rosebridge and Wigan St Judes.
And plus, we'll be looking ahead at this weekend's fixtures, which should give us plenty to talk about. But first, let's start with the BARLA National Cup.
Yeah, there were some good contests over the Easter period. Classic cup drama, Steve. And let's have a look at these results. So I'm thinking of classic cup drama because I'm looking at this one. Hindley Stags 18, Kippax Welfare 24. How close is that?
Yeah, and that's what you want, don't you, from certainly from a cup competition. We say it every time, you know, the beauty of this competition is that a lot of these teams don't get to play each other, and it's sort of like looking at well, you don't know what the teams are like. Nowadays you might be able to see what things go on with regards to YouTube and a little bit of that. But in the main, there's very little you know about them, isn't there, to a certain degree?
There's some professional sides that don't do a lot of YouTube stuff, to be honest. So, yeah, you don't get a lot. Yeah, I agree with you, you know. So, over at Lee East, it was Lee East 8, Wathbrow Hornets 36. And I think you can point to the fact that the Premier Division side used some of that experience. I know it was a bit of a mixed team, but they used some of that experience up against Lee East. This one was a bit of a turn up for the Bucks, to be honest. Brighouse Rangers 28, West Hull 16. I thought that was a bit of a cracking result for them as well, to be fair. So all good for Brighouse Rangers, and a really notable game which saw West Hull duck out of this particular BARLA Open Age National Cup at the round 2 stage. Thatto Heath, they march on though. They had their own derby to contend with, didn't they, when they came up against Pilkington Rex? And ultimately it was Thatto Heath Crusaders 42, Pilkington Rex 10, and West Horton Lions, they're currently bottom in their first season in the Premier Division of the North West Men's League. They came up against, well, I'm going to say experienced campaigners.
And you would be totally right there, mate. Yeah.
And it was really men against the boys there, wasn't it? Oral St James winning that one 44 points to 6. And then some disappointing games as far as we're concerned, because 18-0 is the official scoreline for if you don't take part in the game, isn't it? And you forfeit.
Right, yeah.
So we have Charleston Rovers 18, Folly Lane 0. We've got King Cross Park 18, Wigan St Judes 0. Woolston Rovers 18, Wigan St Pat's 0. Now we've given stick to some teams in the past. You know, so we looked at last year, didn't we? You know, we said some things about, you know, Rochdale Mayfield. What's the point in putting yourself forward in a cup competition if you're not going to take part in it, or you're going to withdraw? There is no point in being there. So obviously I could be talking out of term here, but I've not seen anything regarding any of these games, you know, in honesty. I've not seen anything online where they've said, oh, it's not happened because of X, Y, Z. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to say, Folly Lane, you should be doing better. Wigan St Judes, you should be doing better. You know, you're having a brilliant season on your return to Division 1 rugby in the National Conference League. Where was your team against King Cross Park? Woolston Rovers, you're pushing forward all the time. Wigan St Pat's.
Yeah, it's not as if that's a million miles away, is it?
Again, you know, I understand that, you know, some of these are around the Easter period, and I know that families sometimes come in. But if you're not able to fulfil the fixture, say you're not able to fulfil the fixture, don't go in the comp.
And I know last year, one of the complaints was that a lot of these sort of big teams pulled out or had a dilemma, if you remember, because last year a couple of the actual rounds, the various rounds of this competition, fell when there were NCL games. I know Thatcherweath, they went out and they played the what you would call the Northwest men's team in the competition, and their team won that round, got them through, and obviously Thatcherweath went on to the final and win the competition. But they entered. They knew what was going to happen. They took a position, and I remember Mike Woods speaking about it at the time and saying, "This is what we did." And you've got to say hats off to Thatcherweath, because for me that's the way you should be doing it. And certainly with clubs of the size of where those what we've just been on about that didn't fulfil those fixtures, that's sad, because this year we were criticising BARLA for those clash of fixtures last year.
Yeah, because the clash shouldn't happen, should it? No, it shouldn't happen.
I mean, it's one of those where if everybody gets the ducks in the row, this competition can get back to the stature that it should have. And they've gone and they've tried that this year, and it was, there was no, and certainly no NCL games that weekend. So I'm very surprised at that, and disappointed, I've got to say that, because everybody else is trying, but it is what it is, and we'll see how things go on, because the draw's been made for the quarter-final, which is going to be on the 23rd of August.
We have, Kippock's Welfare against Brighouse Rangers, something of a local derby there as well, so that's going to be interesting. Oral St James against Wathbrow Hornets. Now, I don't know whether Oral St James have ever played against Wathbrow before, but that's one which has me licking my lips.
Yep.
Because again, you've got a top-ranking side in the Northwest Men's League competition up against a top-ranking side in the National Conference League, and we've already seen this season, haven't we, in the Challenge Cup, how close Oral St James came to Thatto Heath in like competition. So I'm intrigued by that one. I think that's probably the tie of the round for me.
Well, even last year, if I remember rightly, there was a similar where they were drawn, and Thatto Heath played Oral St James, and it was one of those where, and I think at the time I said something on the lines of, if you didn't know which leagues these two teams played in, you would be convinced they were both in the same league, because that was the quality of the rugby, and that's going to be interesting. That certainly is.
Elsewhere, well, Thatto Heath will be fancying the chances against King Cross Park, but I'm sure that they won't be underestimating them, because they're a solid club in the Yorkshire men's competition at King Cross Park. And Charleston Rovers, they've had many a cup upset, many a cup run down the years. They're certainly one of the better known teams in Yorkshire. They're hosting Woolston Rovers, so that'll be an intriguing one. And I remember when I spoke to Woolston ahead of the season, they said that they've not won this competition, and ideally they want to get to a final. They really do see it as something of some prestige for them, because they haven't won it. I mean, we know that they've not been at their best in league form so far this season, but again, they might fancy the chances there, particularly if they can get past Charleston.
Yeah, the thing is, as I've said before in the past, that I like this competition because for those who don't play in the NCL, maybe Yorkshire Men's or Northwest Men's League, they get a chance to play teams that they won't have a chance to play against. But even so, you can get teams that do play NCL, but because they've been stuck in certain divisions for a long time, then they do get a chance to play a team in another division to test them as well. Also, that's the right attitude from Woolston. That's great to hear that they're targeting the competition, and it's a competition which has got great history. You go back through the old open rugbies and all that sort of thing, and you look at the competition through and the photographs and the players, and they're all the sort of like the players who you look at the community clubs now. they're the ones who've cemented a lot of those clubs, and got them to where they are now by doing that.
They're the guys who shut you up on the walls, aren't they?
That's
as well,
right,
to be honest. And they're the guys who are the part of those big group photos and things, aren't
well,
they?
there's one there, if I'm not wrong, Parky, when we were up at Thatterweath and we were we did our podcast from there with Mike and it was Dave Pike, I think, as well, who we were talking to, and we were sat in the room, and on the wall was I think it was the 1986 side that won the competition, and blazoned on the wall, all there to say, and you're thinking, that is it. That's showing the guys that this is what it's like to win a competition. So the youngsters who have seen that over the years and wanted to aspire to that, and obviously last year they did, so I'm sure there's going to be another mural somewhere within the Saturday annals that's going to go up on the wall. And that's what it does. It creates those memories, which then helps you to sort of encourage others to come through.
So when are those ties taking place again, Steve?
Yeah, that will be just a good time now. It's the 23rd of August, so it's it's not as though it's really close at the moment.
And again, I think that's a weekend where there is no scheduled NCL fixtures.
Yeah.
So hopefully the crowds are packed as well.
Would that be August bank holiday, I wonder, by any chance?
Yes, it will be.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good way to get you August bank holiday weekend started, isn't it?
Well, the plans
get yourself along to one of those.
Yeah, and obviously, I'm sure, as much as that says that it says to be played on the 23rd of August, and I'm sure if a couple of those play the cards right, and certainly Otto St James, not the Otto St James, maybe the
Kippax and Brighouse.
Yeah, get it on to a Thursday night or something like that. So then, if you want the weekend with your family, you've still got it there, but you fulfilled the fixture. That's what I love about when things get just everybody's thought of. You want to get the game on. You want to ensure that your club gets maximum exposure and funds in over the till type of thing with food and drink, etc. And obviously then you can allow those who play to. Then the families to have the weekend to themselves as well. So,
sounds like a plan there.
Yeah,
Steve.
yeah. I like it. It's a good competition. I'm looking forward to that. But that Otto St James versus Rothbrow one that does interest me, I must admit.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one that we'll look out for. Notice how we're getting involved, and it's like quarterfinals. Right, segment 2, Steve.
Segment 2, yeah. All right, let's talk about where are we up to? Ince Bridge against Wigan St Judes.
Ince Bridge against Wigan St Judes. You was there, so I'll come to you in a minute, Steve.
Yeah.
However, this is the little roundup piece that we've got about the game. So Ince Bridge, they're now the only unbeaten side in Division 1 after edging a tense derby win over local rivals Wigan St Judes. Judes opened the scoring through Rhys Matthews and finished strongly with tries from Matthews again and Dante Morley-Samuels. Cal Silcock, he landed 2 goals, but Bridge struck back in between with tries from Kyle Malone, Byron Aspinall and Mason Fillingham, who also landed 3 goals. Robbie Valentine, well, he kicked a further goal before being sin-binned for a high tackle in the second half. Some things don't change. Robbie is a fantastic player, a great bloke. He plays with his heart on his sleeve, it would be fair to say, and occasionally it does get the better of him when he gets himself sin-binned. So it finished Ince Bridge 20, Wigan St Jude 16. And a reminder of those scorers, so for Ince Bridge, Malone, Aspinall and Fillingham with the tries. 3 goals from the boot of Fillingham, 1 goal from the boot of Robbie Valentine. And for Wigan St Jude's, tries for Matthews, he scored 2, and Morley Samuels with Silcock kicking 2 goals. Steve, you were there.
Yeah.
Does that do justice to that game, or is there a bit more to be told about it?
There's a bit more. Well, first and foremost, it's a Wigan derby, and as I was driving in, I was following your sat-nav was taking me in there, and you go past God knows how many Wigan clubs that have got rugby league teams, whether it be in the North West Men's or whether it be in the NCL. So you you understand how many people, sort of hooked on rugby league. When I got there, there was a sizable crowd already, but by the time the match was starting, it was absolutely both opposite sides were really well filled. But a lot of St Jude's there, a lot of people standing in around the club area and at that one end of the pitch as well. So yeah, it was a really, really well supported. From a game point of view, Judes started off really, really well, and I was a bit concerned because there was no Danny Cassidy, and we know what Cassidy brings to St Jude's side.
I'm surprised he didn't pack up and go over that point,
do you know
to
what?
be honest, I know you're a big part of his fan club, to be honest.
I very nearly asked for my money back on the gate. But seriously, they started really brightly and put Ince under some quite a bit of pressure in the first 5-10 minutes or so. And then Ince sort of like found the feet, as it were, and they started making inroads, big pack, and they spent quite a bit of time on the Judes line, and give them the due. I mean, the defence was really, really good, but it was just little things like ball retention, dropping the ball, not playing the ball correctly a couple of times, little things like that let them down. And obviously there was the frustration. And the one thing I noticed, having watched Judes a couple of times, and you see that play and that link up between Connor Parkinson and Cassidy. As I say, I've mentioned it before. They've got this. It's like a second sense where he knows when he's coming in on his shoulder. The ball goes out to him. That fluency wasn't there. Don't get me wrong, possibly Ince Rosebridge were part of that in the sense that they weren't allowing him to play that fluence as well.
The way they defended.
Yeah, I've got to give them their due that way. So they couldn't get into the game in that sort of respect. And then at the occasion started to get in a bit, and I think they were trying a bit too hard at times, and I think that's what was bringing on the mistakes, like trying to get the ball out where it would have been easier just to take the tackle and play on, and so consequently you straight back under pressure then, more or less.
So did that play more into Ince Rosebridge's hands, the way that, because I mean, let's be honest, we've seen Ince Rosebridge this season as well, and they are a good side. They've got what I rate as a really strong back row. They've got three of the most potent back players in the full back and the wingers. We talk about Callum Hughes scoring all those tries. Interestingly enough, he hasn't scored in this game. So well done to St Jude's in that one for keeping him out, because there's not many teams which have done this season.
Because as we say, I mean, he's one tall guy.
Oh yeah, he's huge, isn't he, for a winger at community level. But we know that they can play a bit as well, and as I said in that very first opening line, Ince Rosebridge, they're now the only unbeaten side in Division 1. So I think that deserves some, real credit there, doesn't it?
I think what they do, or certainly in this game, what they did, they stopped St Jude's playing their fluent game. I mean, as I said, Cassidy wasn't there. Whether there would have been a difference, I don't know. But they got in there, and the players they were playing against, they shut them down. They closed them down. On the other side of that coin, there was an interception try which Ince Rosebridge got, where the winger, I think it was
it Fillingham?
I think it might have been. Went basically full length. Okay, and it was one of those where if he hadn't got it, Judes would have been in. Yeah. So. Do you know what? I can't wait for the reverse fixture, because that is going to be really interesting. And there was a little bit of the usual, sort of Derby Day argy-bargy. Nothing serious or anything. It was a good, hard match. A bit of verbals from the crowds to obviously some of the players, but nothing. Way over the top, as it were, and given back. I've got to say, at the end of the day, it was a good game to watch, and all around, you've got to take your hats off to Ince Rosebridge. You put on a cracking day. All those who turned up, it was really, really good. And as I say, I'm looking forward to that return fixture because that's going to be but the one are going to be getting their own back. You just know because they're going to come away there and think, okay, we've lost, but if we'd kept hold of the ball, if we could have moved a little bit better. But on that other side of that coin, Ince Bridge are not going. They're going to want to try and turn them over to their place.
And I was going to say, how do you think Ince Bridge will be feeling after that? So you obviously you were over on that side of the field where you saw the frustrations of the St Judes guys. How was that being, if you like, reciprocated at the other end? Were they cock a hoop with the result?
Certainly the final whistle, they really were, and. If you look at it logically, you've got a team that would just go a whisker away of getting promotion, weren't they, in the playoff finals to a certain degree. Had a cracking game against Dewsbury Moor Maroons. And they were playing a team that have been promoted, who have been in the division below for 10 years. So you would have thought, it's a no-brainer, this. Ince Bridge should take it to the bank in that sort of sense.
Doesn't always go that way, does it, though, in community level? I mean, because we know ourselves through seeing it seems, in a way, it's difficult to get on a roll, but then you seem to stay on a roll, don't you, at community level? Yeah. Just like we're seeing, it's difficult to fall away from when you've got on top of that roll, but how far you can fall very quickly.
That's right.
So, I think they'll rate this as one of the best wins of the season because of the way that they've come at him, all the emotion involved.
I was just going to say that because that's the game. It's all right. Coaches talk about it, though. Did they say, if you go through the processes, you'll win the game. You win the game. But when you're playing, you can bet your bottom dollar half of those guys know the guys on the other side. They might even be mates. You know what I mean? And go out for a few beers and all that sort of thing. And no one may work with them, etc. So when that happens, there's a totally different emotion. Sort of can enter there and enter in so easily. And then you've got the crowd again. You've got a lot of people who know each other. And it's a good crowd. And and it makes interesting rugby league. It was, as I say. For the purist, it wasn't the most prettiest in the sense of where you've seen these two teams play the best. But at the end of the day, it was a good derby match. And the score was about correct. I mean, don't get me wrong as well, Ince Bridge did have quite a few angling errors as well, which thwarted them, but nothing compared to what St Jude's had.
Right, let's get into the rest of the National Conference League, shall we? Starting with the Premier Division, and we'll start with, this was sounded like a good game as well, over at Lock Lane. Lock Lane 20, West Bowling 30. West Bowling are now level, and they stayed level on points with league leaders West Hull after edging Lock Lane in a gripping encounter. The visitors raced into a 12-0 lead through tries from Liam Darville and Richard Lum. Both were improved by Harry Williams. Lock Lane then responded strongly, with Kieran Purdy and Brandon Worsley crossing and Nathan Fozzard adding 2 goals and a penalty to bring things level at 14 points each. Despite a sin bin for Purdy early in the second half, Lock Lane held firm until the final quarter. However, Andy Gabriel restored West Bowling's lead, and although Leighton Atkinson hit back for Lock Lane, Gabriel's second try 2 minutes from time, along with Williams' 5th goal, sealed the win and sealed Lock Lane's fate. So a reminder, it finished Lock Lane 20, West Bowling 30. Scorers in this one: Lock Lane, Purdy, Worsley, Atkinson. 3 goals from the boot of Fozzard. Must have been 4 really, I think, to add that up so that it comes to that. West Bowling, they had tries from Darville, Lum, 2 from Gabriel. Williams doing the decent stuff with the boot, 5 goals for him.
Meanwhile, West Hull took full advantage of a depleted Lee Miners Rangers side to record a convincing win and maintain their place at the top. The green and golds ran in 5 first half tries through 2 from Josh Oliver, Ben Arban, Josh Wood, Elijah Wilkinson to build a 28-point Stinnell lead. Lee, who travelled with just 15 players, showed spirit in defence after the break but couldn't prevent further tries from Wood and Wilkinson. With Jack Townend finishing with 5 goals, scrum half Johnny Howes was a standout for Lee, but they remain stuck in the relegation zone. Scorers for Westall: tries 2 from Oliver, 1 from Arburn, 2 from Wood, 2 from Wilkinson, goals 5 from Townend, and as we said, Lee Miners no scorers.
Worrying there. Lee Miners only travelling with 15 players.
Yeah,
that's something for us to perhaps keep an eye on. Hopefully, they can draft more players in and have more players that are available. I know that a lot of the youth players have been revealed for the England Community Lions, so you'd be looking at like maybe some of the lads from the 18s possibly making themselves available or being talked about. But as we spoke to Dave a few weeks ago, it's difficult. That transition is so difficult, isn't it, to go from 18s rugby straight into first team. They're in the top level of the community game, and they're finding they're going tough at the moment. Another side finding they're going tough is Hunslet. We seem to keep mentioning this, don't we? And they had a National Conference League Premier Division Grand Final replay against Siddle. So if we're talking 6 months ago, we're marking this on the calendar, aren't we?
Definitely, yeah.
It finished Siddle 40, Hunslet 6. So Siddle gained revenge for last year's Grand Final loss with a commanding win over the struggling champions Hunslet. The Halifax side struck early through Harry Millens and Jacob Rushworth before Macaulay Higgins crossed just before the break, and it was a 16 advantage for Siddle. Despite a double sin bin in the first half, Siddle then remained in control, and they added further tries through Conor McCallum, Will Scrimshaw, Christian Ackroyd and Harvey Williams. Rushworth also landed 5 goals. Hunslet's only reply came from Harry Dodd, and that was improved by Josh McClelland. A reminder of the scorers here for Siddle: tries for Milnes, Rushworth, Higgins, McCallum, Scrimshaw, Ackroyd and Williams. Goals from Hosty, who kicked 1, Rushworth with 5. Hunslet, just the 1 try from Dodd and the 1 goal from McClelland.
Meanwhile, York Acorn pulled clear in the second half to deepen Dewsbury Moore's relegation worries. Early tries from Jack Green and Josh Parker had the home side 10-0 up before Jake Butterfield responded just before half-time. But Acorn finished strongly with the second half scores from Tim Stubbs, Parker again and Luke Swells, while Green added a second goal. Dewsbury remain winless and now face a growing gap to safety. Scorers for York Acorn tries, 1 from Green, 2 from Parker and 1 each from Stubbs, Swells. 2 goals from Green, and tries for Dewsbury Moor came from Butterfield.
There's another interesting game up at Wathborough Hornets here, by the way. Wathborough Hornets 12, Waterhead Warriors 14. And Waterhead continued the impressive campaign with a narrow away win at Wathborough Hornets. Tries from Tim Bridge and Adam Robinson gave the visitors a 10-0 advantage before Carl Dixon replied for the Hornets. That was improved by Sam Kerwin. Matt Holland then extended Waterhead's lead after the break, and although Owen McCartney's try, goal by Greg Rooney, brought Wathborough close, the Hornets couldn't find a way through again, not helped by Dixon's late sin bin for descent. So a reminder of the scorers here for Wathborough Hornets: Dixon and McCartney with the tries, goals from Kerwin and Rooney. For Waterhead, tries from Bridge and Robinson, and Holland just the 1 goal from Brennan, but it was enough. And I mentioned there about Tim Bridge. If you remember Tim was the Australian centre that we spoke to right at the start of the season. Right, so the grounds are firming up. Yeah. He's getting over for tries.
Yeah, that's a cracking window, because we always say it's not the easiest trip to make, is it, to Cumbria? It's a long day.
What are you saying? No, I've been making that trip regular this season.
Anyway, Rochdale Mayfield, they took on Thatterheath Crusaders, 2 heavyweights in the Premiership, and Thatterheath Crusaders came away from Mayfield with a hard-earned win. Ryan Orton scored and converted his own try in the first half and added a penalty early in the second. Further tries from Sean Lester and Brad Ashurst put the visitors 18-0 up. Rochdale rallied late, though, through Oliver Morgan and Jack McConaughey, with Cole Connolly converting the first. But Thatterheath's defence was strong and saw them home. Scorers for Rochdale Mayfield: tries came from Morgan, McConaughey, goals from Connolly, and Thatterheath's tries were Horton, Lester, Ashurst, and 3 goals from Horton.
Green Cooling keeps the 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League show cool, even when tackles get heated.
Right, we've done Ince Rosebridge in Division 1, and we're moving on to, I think it's Kells, when Dave spent all afternoon highlighting all his notes, and he's struggling now, it's going dark.
All I can say is that I'm glad you've turned your lights on here, to be honest. Yeah, this is what happens. I hope that certainly on Friday night in Newcastle, the floodlights are going to get switched on at Bladen, because that's where I'll be. But yes, Kells 18, Wigan St Pat's 10. Kells overturned a half-time deficit to beat previously unbeaten Wigan St Pat's. Were they unbeaten?
Yeah, they were, because they
played a game less, haven't they?
Yeah, and also they'd had a draw with St Judes.
Now, Pats had led 6-0 at the break through Riley Dervin's try and Brad Smith's conversion. The hosts then took control in the second half with tries from Connor Hetherington, Oscar Cook and James Ennis. All were goaled by Grant Gameford. Smith crossed again late on for the visitors, but Kells had done enough to get their victory. So 18-10 to Kells. Tries from Hetherington, Cook and Ennis. 3 goals from Gameford. For Wigan St Pat's, tries for Dervin and Smith. The 1 goal from Smith.
Meanwhile, Uith, they were up against Oldham St Hans, and Uith extended their winning run to 4 games with a commanding display over Oldham St Hans. Early tries from Joe Varro and Ben Bernard set the tone, with further touchdowns from Danny Allen, Liam Jackson, Liam Richmond, Maddox Jeffrey, Callum Rutland and Fraser West. Jack Sagler landed 3 goals, Allen added 2 and Rutland kicked 1. Oldham responded with tries from Sam Johnson, Joe Hartley and Craig Basnett, one of which was converted by Matt Whitehead. Yellow cards for Kelvin Ojiburo and Hartley didn't help the visitors' cause. Scorers there for Uith, tries from Varro, Bernard, Allen, Jackson, Richmond, Jeffrey, Rutland and West, and with goals, Sadler 3, Allen 2 and 1 for Rutland. For Oldham St Anne's, tries for Johnson and Hartley and Basnett, and goals 1 for Whitehead.
Stop the show here. Stop the show. Uith, we haven't talked enough about him this season.
Do you know what we were on about this, weren't we?
They're on a right roll at the moment, aren't they? And fair play to him, because as we've said, you can drop out of a division and then there's usually, you know, we've seen sides take half a season to get to grips with where they are again, haven't they? And they've just blasted straight back into it. They're amongst the front runners of the comp. I think they're going to remain the front runners, you know, in that, or certainly within that pack. And they're a damn good side. They can attack from anywhere. Yeah,
when you're looking at that, you know, a winning streak of 4 games, we know what that can do to. We've been on about it before. You get 4 games, you get 2 games together in some of these leagues, and it moves you straight up. So if you're getting 4 the early doors, you know what I mean, it's putting you in a very, very strong position. You've got the scores on the door straight away, haven't you? You know what I mean. You don't have to. You know, you've got something in the bank. You don't have to worry too much in some respects.
And you know, that's important to get these wins down early.
Yeah.
It becomes habit forming, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and then it becomes harder to lose the more that you win.
And some as they say, you know what I mean, if you lose, it's just as much, you know, getting into that habit, it can be just as bad. We've just on about them. We spoke glowingly about all the Wigan clubs, and rightly so to a certain extent, because it's great to see. But you've got the likes of Uith who have, you know, could have easily, like you've said, we've seen in the past, could have easily, you know, sort of, come into this division and thought, you know, but we'll waltz this, no problem, and come unstuck. You know what I mean? Because you've got teams that have come up there. You've got Judes, for instance, which we know have come up, and they've, you know, really got stuck in there. So you've just got to be careful. So getting those under the belt and getting those wins breeds confidence, and I agree with you. They're going to be one to watch out for.
Right, back. Having stopped the clocks, we'll start it again. We're still in Division 1, and Alton Raiders 16, Shawcross Sharks 38. Shawcross Sharks kept up their promotion push, going with a strong second half showing at winless Alton Raiders. The Raiders had led early on through Josh Perkins' conversion of tries from Matty Stableford and Joe Horan. but Shawcross responded and led 18-12 at the breaks thanks to Brad Wakenshaw's late try and Lewis Heckford's third goal. The Sharks powered on after the break with tries from Max Sheard, Tennyson Neagle, Wakenshaw going in again and Nath Wright. Heckford finished with 5 goals and Alton added a late try from Bailey Metcalf but couldn't avoid another defeat. So the scorers there for Alton Raiders: Stableford, Horan and Metcalf, the try scorers. 2 goals from the boot of Perkins. For Shawcross there were tries from Wakenshaw with 2, Sheard, Neagle and Wright. Goals going the way of Heckford with 5.
Meanwhile, Woolston Rovers were up against Stanley, and Stanley mounted an absolutely stunning comeback to down Woolston Rovers, recovering from 18-0 down to take the spoils. Woolston struck first through Danny Brown, Ben Roberts and James Tarper, all goaled by Ben Dixon, but Stanley hit back with tries from Connor Avard and Keenan Dyer Dixon, both crossing twice, plus scores from Nathan Stone and Alfie Peach. Dean Parker added 4 goals. Woolston managed a late reply from Dan Fernley, with Dixon finishing with 4 conversions. So the scorers there for Woolston: tries from Brown, Roberts and Tarpey and Fernley, goals 4 from the boot of Dixon. Stanley's tries: 2 from Aviard, Dyer Dixon with 2, Stone, Peach with 1 each, and Parker successful with the boot 4 times.
Meanwhile, over at Egremont, they were successful against Crossfields by 36 points to 12, and Egremont Rangers came from behind to comfortably in the end see off Crossfields, who were still searching for their first win. The visitors had led 12-10 at the break thanks to tries from Ben Steele and Charlie Groke, both of which were converted by Brad Stanway. But Egremont turned the tide in the second half. They had a right onslaught which included tries from Jack Conway, Callum Aitken, Christian Tyson and a hat-trick from Fraser McNee. Matt Busher kicked 4 goals. Crossfield's hopes faded further when Tom Millington was sin-binned for a professional foul. So the scorers there for Egremont: tries from Conway, Aitken, Tyson, McNee with 3, 4 goals from the boot of Busher, and for Crossfields, tries from Steele and Groke with 2 goals from the boot of Brad Stanway.
Rugby League's secret weapon, Green Cooling, scores with the 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League Show.
Yeah, then moving on to Division 2. We saw Normanton Knights there were taking on Enzingham, and Enzingham snapped a 3-game losing run in style by turning over the informed Normanton Knights on the road. The Cumbrians struck early through Ben Pearce and took full advantage of a yellow card for Jacob Crossland, scoring twice more in his absence via Matt Williams and Luke Charlton for an 18-0 lead at the break. Charlton grabbed his second try shortly after the restart, with Miller Dalton kicking 4 goals in total. Normanton responded with late tries from Alex Barker and Tim Robinson, and a goal by Crossland, but it was far too late to stop the upsets. The scorers for Enzingham: tries came from Pearce and Williams and 2 from Charlton, with goals from 4 from Dalton. Normanton tries came from Barker, Robinson and goal from Crossland.
Who's going to stop East Leeds? Well, to be fair, Driglington put in an impressive effort, but even they were down by 42 points to 10. East Leeds stayed top of the table despite having 2 sin-binnings, and they produced a dominant performance to sweep past Driglington. AJ Wilson, now we've talked about Callum Hughes in Division 1. We've got to talk about AJ Wilson, because we mention him every week.
That's
He's
right,
scoring
yeah.
2-3 tries every time. AJ Wilson and Kieran Brinham both crossed twice, while George Clark, Elliot Thompson, Elliot Winley and Alfie Crawford also dotted down. Luke Littlewood added 5 goals, and Driglington kept in touch early on through an Adam Griffiths try and Mick Sanderson's conversion, and then grabbed a second try through Ben Warren, but Easts ran away with it in the second half. So a reminder of the scorers for East Leeds: 2 tries for Wilson, 2 for Brinning, 1 each for Clark, Thompson, Windley and Crawford. Littlewood adding to this massive points that he's getting with another 10 to his name, kicking 5 goals. For Driglington, there were tries from Griffiths and Warren, Sanderson kicking the only goal for them.
Yeah, and surprisingly this week as well, East Leeds weren't the big point scorers. No, it was Clockface Miners who topped that table this week. They were up against Old Dockers and they came out with a 78 points to 12 win. and the clock-faced man is surged to the third straight win, piling up the points against struggling Hull Dockers. Conor McCartan helped himself to an hat-trick, while Lewis Garrity racked up 30 points from 2 tries and 11 goals. There were doubles for Jack Graham and Ben Daniels, and further scores for Brandon Lewis, Harrison Rigby, Jimmy Jones, Josh Morgan and Nathan Benson. The Dockers, who have now lost 4 in a row, replied with 2 tries from Tom Wurr and 2 goals by Dan Suddaby. So for Clockface, it was tries, hat-trick for McCartan, 2 for Garrity, 2 for Graham, 2 for Daniels, 1 for Lewis, 1 for Rigby, 1 for Jones, 1 for Morgan and Benson, and 11 goals there for Garrity. All Dockers tries, 2 for Wurr and 2 goals for Suddaby.
Meanwhile, Dewsbury Celtic were also amongst the points as well, defeating Ellenborough Rangers 64 points to 0. And Celtic themselves going about things quietly, winning their 4th on the bounce with a crushing win against the Rangers. Charlie Heaton scored 5 tries in a blistering display, while Jack Kelly bagged a brace, and there were further efforts from Nathan Waring, Lewis Teal, Casey Canterbury, Billy Yarrow, Tom Bottomley and Eddie Kelly. Jordan Hurst slotted over 6 goals in the rout. For Elborough, now on a 3-game losing streak, can't say that, they were second best throughout, despite some bright touches from their scrum half Jaden French. So a reminder of those scorers: Heaton 5 tries, that's the individual performance of the week, isn't it? Jack Kelly with 2 tries, Waring, Teal, Canterbury, Yarrow, Bottomley, Ed Kelly scoring the others, Hurst with 6 goals, Ellenborough no scorers.
Barrow Island were up against Skirler and came away with a 32 points to 0 win, and they claimed a 3rd straight victory, shutting out a 15-man Skirler side that remains winless. Tries in the first half came from Jordan Stafferi, Cal McBain and Ian Irving. After the break, further scores were added by Irving again, Finn Dutton-Rosconi and Ryan Wilson, with Dutton-Rosconi adding 3 goals and Aidan Wright 1 in a solid home performance. So scorers there for Barrow Island, tries for Stafferi and McBain and 2 for Irving. Dutton-Rosconi weighed in with 1, also Wilson. And Dutton-Rosconi was on target with 3 goals. Wright also scored, and Skirler no scorers.
And over at Pilkington Rex, they capitalised on a second half red card to see off Thornhill Trojans. The sides were locked at 10-all early in the second half, after Callum Gamble's brace and Sam Ratcliffe's conversion had matched earlier efforts from Elliot Martin and Tom Connick, but a red card to Jake Hickling for dissent shifted momentum firmly to the hosts, who clocked out the win with unanswered tries from Tom Eastwood, Jamie Smith and a second from Connick, who also finished with 3 goals. So the tries there for Pilkington Rex: 1 from Martin, 2 from Connick, 1 from Eastwood, 1 from Smith, 3 goals from the boot of Connick. And for Thornhill, they had the 2 tries from Gamble and the 1 goal from Ratcliffe.
Every tackle, every try, every scrum. Green Cooling is proud to be part of the Community Rugby League family.
Yeah, and as we move downward into Division 3, Featherstone Lions were up against Saddleworth Rangers. And Featherstone Lions came out successful, 32 points to 16 winners. And it made Saddleworth Rangers suffer their first loss of the campaign as Featherstone Lions bounced back from 2 straight defeats. The Lions took an early 10-0 lead thanks to a brace from James Metcalf, but Saddleworth hit back to lead 16-10 early in the second half through tries from Sam Hart, Louis Winterbottom and Finn Winterbottom, with Connor Whitehead converting twice. However, Featherstone responded strongly, with David Garani and Ash Alman-Brook edged him back in front before Elliot Bell's solo effort 10 minutes from time sealed the win. Liam Kay kicked 4 goals and added a penalty for a percent points 6-point haul. All these words were tripping over tonight, Parky. I don't know.
Yeah, but it wasn't a 6-point haul, was it? That's where I was saying.
It wasn't.
Yeah. So it was a 10-point haul.
10 points haul.
Yeah.
So it was a bigger haul. Featherstone's tries, 2 from Metcalf, tries from Garani, Allman Brooks, Bell, 4 goals from Kay, and a penalty from Kay also. Saddleworth tries came from Hart, Winterbottom,
Winterbottom, yeah.
and also goals 2 from Whitehead.
No, that defeat for Saddleworth Rangers, I mean, they've been bang on form, haven't they?
It was a surprise, I must admit.
Yeah, but what this does, this says that we've been saying this, that I reckon that no one was running away with this Division 3 because there's a lot of sides that are very, very similar to each other. But that's a great result for Featherstone Lions. My little social media story, because I'll slot it in here, by the way. I know it's a little bit off kilter, but it just seems quite apt.
It's going rogue. Parky's going rogue.
Featherstone Lions, they played a North West men's fixture over the Easter weekend, and they had 4 sets of brothers in the team. So that's a fair effort, isn't it?
It would have been a Yorkshire men's.
Yeah, it was a Yorkshire men's. Yorkshire men's league game, and 4 sets of brothers. 4 sets of brothers. Yeah. How good's that?
And you get some teams that can't even get a team together. All you've got to go to a couple of families in Featherstone and you're all right.
You cracked it. You've cracked it. But
Mum's the coach.
Fair play there to Featherstone Lions, and fair play to him for ending this run of Saddleworth Rangers as well, because that's a great result. This is another great result as well. You know, I mean, I feel a bit sick in saying it with my former links with Lee East, of course, but Lee East 26, Keighley Albion 28, and Keighley Albion, they've stayed second by the narrowest of margins after a dramatic late win over Lee East. Leading 22-10 after tries from Jamie Stevenson, Alex Young, Tolly Lickley and Lewis Hutchinson, with Callum Hudson converting 3, Albion looked to have let it slip as East surged ahead. Ryan Barnes, Craig Mullen and a penalty try finish by Kieran Prescott with 2 Adam Holland goals put East in front, but Hudson's late try levelled it before Ben Stead coolly slotted the decisive conversion. East's earlier points came in the first half with tries by Prescott and Jasper Cockle, with Mullen also kicking a goal before he was later sin-binned for dissent. For Lee East, 2 tries from Prescott, 1 each for Cockle, Barnes and Mullen. Goal split between Mullen with 1, Holland with 2. And for Keighley Albion, Stevenson, Young, Lickley, Hutchinson, Hudson scoring, with Hudson kicking 3 goals instead, with that all-important one which sealed the win.
There's another entrance for our team, Parky, with great names. Jasper Cockle.
Jasper.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I've got to get him in there. We've got in a good squad together now, I must say.
Yeah.
Bentley, they were up against Beverley and came out winners 24 points to 16, and they remain third on points difference. But they were made to sweat by winless Beverley. Grant Hill's early score gave Bentley the edge, but tries from Tom Burnett and Jordan Train are Beverley ahead 10-6 at the break. The hosts regrouped with second half tries from Tony Turton, Kieran Lewis and Jordan Middleton. Lewis also added 4 goals in a strong display. Beverley's Lewis Miller scored a late try, converted by Ben White, but it wasn't enough. Scorers for Bentley. Tries came from Hill, Turton, Lewis, Middleton, with 4 goals from the boots of Lewis. Beverley, it was Burnett and Train Miller, and with White adding 2 goals.
Meanwhile, over at Milford, they picked up their first win of the season in emphatic style, blanking Dissington at home. Hamish McClintock, yes, he's in that squad as well. Starred with 18 points, 2 tries and 5 goals. Josh Kaywood also crossed twice, while Taylor Stevenson and Max Rooney also added to the tally. Despite being only 6-0 down at half-time, Dissington faded in the second half, though James Motum gave a strong individual performance. So a reminder in this one, it was Milford at 34, Dissington 0, with the tries for Milford going the way of McClintock with 2, Kaywood with 2, Stevenson and Rooney also with the other tries. 5 goals from the boots of McClintock and no scores for Dissington.
I think that's a roundup, isn't it?
And then finally...
Oh, is there one more?
Yeah, there is one more. Millom 32, Myton Warriors 12. Millom responded impressively to Myton's bright start to earn a deserved home win. The visitors struck first through Josh Brannigan, with Jack Sanderson converting, but Millom soon levelled when Kian McPherson crashed over. Lee Postlethwaite added the extras. Further tries went the way of Connor Tyrrell and Jack Barker to give the Cumbrians an 18-6 half-time lead. Both were improved by Postlethwaite. Hadley Thompson touched down early in the second half for Millom, Postlethwaite landing his 4th goal, and Barker claimed his second try not long after. And then Leighton French He had returned from the sin bin, and Myton responded through Sanderson, converted by Sam Hogg. But Thompson's second try sealed Millam's victory. So the scorers in this one: tries for Millam, for McPherson, Terrell, Barker with 2, Thompson with 2, goals for Postlethwaite, who grabbed 4 of them. For Myton, there were tries from Brannigan and Sanderson, with goal split between Sanderson and Hogg. So yeah, that one finished 32 points to 12, Steve.
Let's have a look at the fixtures for this weekend, coming up Saturday, May the 3rd. Premier Division, we've got Lee Miners Rangers. They take on Onslet. That's going to be an interesting one, that Parky, isn't it? Because
it is.
We've got 2 teams that are really struggling to buy a win. So we're going to see, unless it's a draw, somebody's going to push somebody a little bit further away from the other. Then we've got Lock Lane up against Wasbrow Hornets.
You know what? I think they're going to be keen on Lock Lane to try and put that defeat last week as just an upset.
Yeah.
But Wasbrow, they always come with a job to do, don't they?
Yeah.
You've got to be good to beat Wasbrow.
Yeah. They're sort of one of those teams where they've got a reputation, and they've got a reputation for a reason, haven't they? And so you've always got to be on your game. Like
it's a good reputation, by the way. It's a good reputation.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't want angry Cumbrians contacting me.
They're in contacting you, they'll be heading you off. What's the motorway? Go there. Go back. Banners sing. Go back, Parkinson.
Go back,
Parkinson. Turn around.
Get away. Yeah.
No, but they do have a strong reputation, and no matter how sort of wobbly they might be from time to time, if you take your eye off the ball against them, they will do.
They can burn you, can't they?
They'll certainly, but they bite you on the backside, as they say. This is the one for me, though. We've got Siddle, who are up against Rochdale Mayfield, which is another big one.
Yeah, you pinched my line there, because that was going to be my game of the week. Because Siddle going so well up near the top of the division, obviously finding the fluency. Still not happy even when they're winning by 30, 40 points. And I think that just shows where they are as a club and where they see themselves going. Rochdale Mayfield, obviously they've recovered well after losing to Waterhead in the opening weekend of the season. And I think that's going to be a real tip-top game in the Premier Division. That.
Yeah, certainly the one that I'll be going to watch. It's Tatterweath Crusaders against Westall. We've got Westall, who are there up on the top notch. You've got Tatterweath Crusaders, who've just turned Rochdale Mayfield over, and I think they're sitting about 4th on the table at the moment. I think that Crusaders will be up for that one now, but they'll be buoyed from that win going away to Rochdale Mayfield, because that's not an easy place to go and get a win, is it?
No, it's not. It's not. I hope you're going to give my regards to Mike Woods and Ryan Steve.
Mr. Woods, yeah. Mike, I'm coming to see what your pitch is like. So that's how you've been looking after your grass in this warm weather.
Another pitch that is bound to have done well in this warm weather, by the way. That's over at Waterhead Warriors. Seamless segue. Segue. That's why nobody pays me the big bucks. But Waterhead, they're up against Dewsbury Moor Maroons. Interesting one, this, for me. Dewsbury Moor, they need to be picking up wins sooner than later, but they're going to find it tough there at Waterhead, I feel. Yeah.
2 teams that both came up last season, aren't they? One going one way at the moment and one going the other way, unfortunately. But that's how it is at the end of the day, isn't it? It's how you adapt.
I thought you was going to say, but that's rugby league.
Well, it is, isn't it? It's how you adapt and how you can adapt. And Dewsbury Moor will. I'm sure this will be one where they think, we can give this a good crack here because we know Waterhead Warriors.
The next one's flying under the radar a little bit as well. West Bowling. I mean, they're having a great season, aren't they? You mentioned about Heworth getting the wins on the board.
Just going to say exactly the same there.
And West Bowling are a perfect example of doing that, because you get yourselves on a real run, don't you? And you're wondering, when are you going to slip up again, to be fair. But York Acorn are one of those sides which, as we know, they can cause some damage, can't they? They've got a good back line.
Yeah.
A really interesting tie, that one, between West Bowling and York Acorn.
And then we go into Division 1. We've got Ulton Raiders. They will be up against Wigan St Pat's.
Ulton Raiders really struggling at the moment. Yeah, they can't seem to get a win on the board. They could do with jagging a result from somewhere, and then hopefully that'll see them kick on as they are starting to look into this almost like second segment of the season now. Wigan St Pat's, we know they've been thereabouts for a lot of their games. I thought they were impressive when we saw them early doors, against Woolston, and there's a feel-good factor that's at that club at the moment, isn't there? So, will Ulton Raiders, although they're hosting, will they prove the party poopers?
That's going to be interesting, isn't it? I mean, we know Pat's at home. When we went to see them, maybe some of the rugby that played that day were absolutely stunning rugby league, wasn't they? But yeah, we'll see what Ulton Raiders can do. And finally, Division 2, Parker. You were saying earlier you think this is one that's been rearranged from the beginning of the season?
Yeah, so originally these two sides were meant to be playing on week 1 of the season, Dewsbury Celtic up against Thornhill Trojans, but I know that they said that they wanted to put it back to a bank holiday weekend because they're anticipating a big crowd. It's a real local derby and no doubt going to be very emotive and emotional sort of game, and they'll be expecting a big crowd, so fair play to Dewsbury Celtic, and I'm sure Thornhill Trojans will have plenty to say in that game as well, so I think that's going to be a little cracker of its own in Division 2, that one.
The bottom line is, like we said earlier, you've got to make the most of these fixtures like this. I mean, you've got to, from a club point of view, you've got to try and get the best out of them, from a benefit from your club financially as well as on the pitch, if possible.
Can I give that the Parky Bazzer of the week?
Oh, we're still doing this Bazzer thing. Yeah. You can give it the Bazzer.
Go on. Yeah. I'll give it the Bazzer. Right. We've reached the end, Steve.
We certainly have. Obviously, with being a bit thin on the ground, with there not being a massive amount of rugby being on compared to so the last few weeks, as it were, we've have you spotted anything with regards to any more social media?
After a bit, no.
Yeah, as I say, it's a bit.
No, because I've used it. I used the one that I was going to say, but when we mentioned about Featherstone Lions having 4 lots of brothers playing in the same team, which is, I think that's a phenomenal effort.
It is.
Really, really good.
You go round to their house and you look at their houses and you see how kit's up the line. Where they've had to take the kit home and wash it. So don't forget, you can follow us on all our social media outlets on Facebook. We're on YouTube, we're on Mixler, we're on Apple, we're on Amazon, we're on Spotify. We'll be on the moon next, I think.
We're everywhere, we're taking over.
Yeah.
Well, that's what Sting ended up on the moon, didn't he?
Well, he was
walking on the moon, wasn't he?
He was taking giant steps, apparently.
That was all that we've got time for this week. It's great to be back after the Easter period. Another excellent show, Steve.
Yeah, see you next time on the 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League Show.
Every tackle, every try, every scrum. Green Cooling is proud to be part of the Community Rugby League family.